Pratchard was killed on a Wednesday. He really hadn't seen it coming. Nobody had. But there he is. It's a normal Wednesday afternoon. He's strolling along to the butcher's when... Ah! Poor Jack Pratchard. I suppose it could have happened to anybody, really. It could have been me. It could have been you. Jack was buried a few days later in the cemetery, just outside the town. He'd not been a popular fellow in his life, but still plenty of people came to watch. Perhaps they wanted to be sure he was actually dead. Perhaps they wanted to see his coffin go down into the ground with their very own eyes. A few people actually came out of respect for the dead. Poor fellow! Such a shame! Others came to spit on his grave. When he'd been at school, Jack's teachers had told him all about what happens to you when you die, but he'd not listened. And now he's aware of being in a coffin and of spit raining down upon the lid. And he wonders to himself, am I really dead? And yes, he is. Jack's no longer in his coffin. He's knee-deep in ice-cold water. And then, the boatman appears. He's been waiting for Jack all of his life. The boatman has come to take Jack to the city of the dead. The route into the city is never the same. It constantly shifts and changes. But the boatman knows the way. He should. He built the city with his own broken and calloused hands, way back when, at the very beginning of time, in preparation for the inevitable. The boatman doesn't say a word as he steers a smooth course through this ever-changing city.
Majesty, the new arrivals.
And there, at the very heart of the city, is the great hall, where a queen sits on a high throne. This queen rules the city of the dead, which wasn't something she ever aspired to do. She got the job by default. She was the first person ever to die. When she died, she left behind a husband, a simple man who had no idea about what was happening. Nobody had ever died before. He hoped that one day he might bring her back from the dead. But this never happened. And the queen sits patiently on her throne, gazing out across the seas of the underworld towards the earth. She's waiting for her husband's soul to float down and for the boatman to bring him to the shores of the city so they can be together again. So in death, as it was in life. And every day, the queen sits on her high throne in the great hall, where she meets and greets every new soul the boatman brings. She wants to know if her husband has made it here in any shape or form.
Majesty, the new arrivals.
And with them, the great hall echoes with a sad song. With rue my heart is laden, for golden friends I had, for many a rose-lipped maiden, and many a light-foot lad.
Majesty, the new arrivals.
And every day, the queen asks each soul that stumbles from the boat, "What is your name, and how did you die? Did you have a good life, or was there business left unfinished?" And they might reply, "My name is Jack Pratchard, and I was killed by a falling piano. I was not a popular fellow in my life, and when I was buried, a number of well-wishers came and spat on my coffin. So all in all, I could have done better." But she's not listening. She knows this is not her husband, and already she's asking those same questions to the next person in line. Maybe today, her husband has come in disguise as the fat old woman. Or the tall thin man. Or a small frightened child. She asks the same questions to each and every one of them. But he's not come today. And so she returns her gaze out across the ocean. Maybe he will come tomorrow. With rue my heart is laden, for golden friends I had, for many a rose-lipped maiden, and many a light-foot lad. Jack Pratchard's grave has been filled with earth and marked, not with a carved stone, but with a numbered wooden stick, so that the grave diggers know not to bury another one there, at least not for a while. Nearly everyone who had attended Jack's burial has made their way home for lunch. Some have made their way to the pub. It will not be long before most of them have forgotten that the poor man ever even existed. Inside the pub, it's a normal Saturday afternoon.
Go on, Brian. Tell us about you and that Dolly Greensmith.
The gravediggers have already had a couple, and their mannish laughter fills the air. And as usual, they continue to swap inappropriate stories about women. An old man who has visited Jack's grave he's drinking a beer. Glug, 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 glug. He finishes his pint before politely ordering another, which he drinks in the same quiet manner. Glug, 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 glug. He orders a third, which he drinks without making a sound. With his strange hat, he's clearly not from around these parts, and he seems to be turning something over in his mind. Maybe he knew the fellow that died the other day. And so people leave him be. And after drinking 2 more pints, he steps outside into the sunshine. He begins to walk around the town square. Slowly at first, but then he quickens his pace until he's running. He's running around the town square and shouting. People put down their drinks and come outside to cheer him on. It looks like he's having the time of his life. What? Hey! Woohoo! Waha! Do you want to see what's underneath my hat? Do you? Well, do you? Yeah. It's coming. Look at him go! Come on, old man, show us what's underneath your hat. Show us what you've got, old boy. I've got it. It's underneath my hat.
Who wants to see it? Come on, who?
We do! We do! But he ignores them. So they go back inside and order another round of drinks. These are clearly the rantings of a crazed and drunken fool. He carries on. He doesn't seem to care if anybody's listening to him or not. Nothing can stop him. He just keeps going. Running and dancing and shouting and singing, and mostly people walk by, but sometimes they stop to look, and he points at his hat and he cries, "I've got it under here, do you want to see it?" But he never actually shows them. He just keeps running and running until even he can bear it no more. And he retires to the shade of a tree, where he mops the sweat from his brow, catches his beery breath, and gives his sore and sour feet a good rub. A young boy runs over. He wants a closer look. "Excuse me, mister, but what is underneath your hat?"
Oh, you want to see what's underneath my hat, do you?
"Only if it's no trouble, mister."
Are you sure you can handle it?
"I don't know." And he shows the boy. This man has stolen the city of the dead and is hiding it underneath his hat. He stole it so that he could rescue his wife. She was the first person ever to die, and today he has found her. So, the city of the dead, its queen and all her subjects are now trapped in the muffled confines of a felt-lined hat. And what of Jack Pratchard and the boatman, you may ask? Well, they got left behind. The boatman had brought Jack with him to collect the next load of souls. He'd never had many friends himself, and after so many years was glad of the company. They had been admiring the view of the city of the dead. When a vast wave rose out of the ocean. Jack clung to the boatman's neck as they were hurled back and forth on waves as tall as the city. Those ancient walls were never built to withstand such a thorough beating. and then it was over. Now, Jack and the boatman are gently bobbing up and down, and are staring in disbelief at an empty sea where for so many years the city of the dead had floated. Now, all they can see is the earth, and a steady trail of souls floating down. Back in the land of the living, people are still dying. The usually placid Martin Chiffinger exploded in a fit of extreme rage. The ever-popular Dolly Greensmith found herself caught in a tug-of-war between two jealous lovers when... and the kindly old Mrs. Appleby was reading the newspaper when she died of boredom. Elsewhere, there are heart attacks, domestic accidents, suicides, murders, freaks of nature. Coffins are lowered into graves, sticks are hammered into the ground. Sometimes tears are shed, and sometimes not. People shuffle from the graveside to the pub and back home again. It's all in a week's work. Jack Pratchard and the boatman rescue as many of the souls as they can. But still, they keep coming. And now the city of the dead has gone. There's nowhere for the souls to go. And so they pile up on the ocean floor. And as people continue to die, the souls of the dead begin to fill the leftover spaces amongst the living. And in every house, they can be found nestled at the bottom of bedside table drawers. They gather in the spaces between the wardrobe and the wall. They're crammed into every hollow and hide in every corner. The spaces amongst the living fill with the souls of the dead until there's no room left for anyone else to die. But where can all these souls go? Jack Pratchard suffered enough when he was alive. and he resolves to find the city of the dead and to bring it back so that he and all the other dead souls can finally rest in peace. He looks up and he starts to climb. Jack hoists himself up, using dead arms and legs as though they were a ladder. He grabs onto protruding noses. He stuffs his clumsy feet into gaping mouths. Jack climbs until he can feel a change in the air. He recognises this place. People are gathering in the town square. Something's going on. What's going on? And some of these people had watched Jack's coffin go down into the ground, but now they look straight through him. They barely noticed him when he was alive. They're not going to look at him twice now that he's dead. It looks like they're all heading in the same direction. But where are we going?
I don't know, but apparently it's going to be absolutely fantastic.
They're all heading from the pub towards the theatre. Jack follows them. Hold on a minute! Wait for me! I'm coming! And tonight, in the theatre, a great show is being prepared. It's very exciting. Jack is swept along as people fight their way to the best seats in the house, pushing, shoving, and biting one another. Then there's a hush as the lights dim and the curtain rises. And there, standing on the stage, is the man with the hat. Who wants to see the city of the dead? We do.
I can't hear you. I said, who wants to see the city of the dead?
We do! We do! The city of the dead! I can't believe my luck. But where's he hidden it?
I've got it. It's underneath my hat. Who wants to see it? Come on, who?
I do! I do! I do! And underneath his hat, in the city of the dead, the Queen is still sitting on her throne. She cannot see the earth or the sea, and she has not heard the boatman's grave stentorian tones for weeks. All around her, the city has lost its lustre and its sparkle. And then, from out of the darkness, she hears her husband's voice. He has taken the city from underneath his hat and is trying to find a way in.
I'm here! I'm here! I've come to save you!
You came for me. I waited for so long.
But where are you?
I'm here. Can't you see me?
I can't find you!
But I'm here.
But I came to save you! I came to bring you back! Where are you?
But he cannot see her. The living cannot enter the city of the dead. It simply won't do. The audience have left their seats and are clambering over one another for a closer look. What's that about the city of the dead?
Sounds like a load of old nonsense to me.
Jack sees his chance to grab the city from the man, but then the city crumbles and collapses until a man is holding nothing but a pile of black, powdery ash. If only he had allowed himself to die, then they could have been together. A queen and a king ruling the city of the dead. He had thought if he waited for long enough, he could bring her back. But now, it is too late. There's none to soothe my soul to rest. There's none my load of grief to share, or wake to joy this lonely breast, and light the gloom Jack stands alone on an empty stage. He could not save the city of the dead. He has nowhere left to go. And there is not a single soul around. There's none to soothe my soul to rest. There's none my load of grief to share, or wake to joy this lonely breast, and light the gloom of the dark despair. The town has fallen into ruin. Jack Pratchard can hear the sound of water. Water is rising up from the ground. He lets it cover him completely, and it carries him away. Thank you.